the Princess of Wales found putting on that show of unity after the Queen's death, walking around Windsor, how that was the hardest thing she'd ever had to do. And I was reminded that Catherine is not the actress. It's Meghan Markle that's the actress, and Catherine put on a much more stoic show. She was much more.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into some royal drama that you won't want to miss. We're talking about Prince Harry's possible resentment towards Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales.
Strong and, she just looked
Really, yeah, very much. I thought she was.
a lot of dignity, and she looked a lot more comfortable in that position than Meghan did on that day. As I hate
That's true. Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I think she was more sure-footed that day.
First of all, congratulations on the book. I got to see a few pages of it, and you found, without a doubt, my favorite subject in the entire world and created a beautiful book about it. So congratulations, Catherine, the Princess of Wales. It's coming out here in the States, August the 6th. I hope you're so proud of it, because it's just a wonderful description of a fierce young woman who one day we look forward to seeing as queen.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to give the bigger picture about Kate. A lot of people like to sort of grab at the headlines, and that's what happens with serialization. But really, it's when you read the book as a whole, it's talking about her as a whole and the person that she's become from, when she was a kid through to the current day. And we're talking about somebody that's had a pretty unremarkable background in terms of us, but in terms of the royal family, this is a woman that will play a pivotal role going forward. Her kids are all born princes and princesses. Her husband was born a prince. Her father-in-law was born destined to be the king. That she was a girl that went to work on a double-decker bus, and so, she's crucial to making sure that the monarchy stays in touch with the people that they serve. I mean, because she has been very much one of them. Her grandfather, let's face it, was a painter and decorator. There's a lot written about trying to beef that up, but that's what he was, and that's a great profession. So was my grandfather. So she's in touch with reality. That's the point.
I had no clue that she grew up, kind of culturally, she was in a blender, and how wonderful. Like, as a child, learning Arabic, I mean, that had to have shaped how welcoming she is, how eager she is to learn, new things. What surprised you about her childhood?
Exactly that. I think what was great about my mum and dad is they were open to going to live somewhere else. So Dad got offered a job in Jordan, which is a great country. I've been there myself, and they were able to live there and be part of that culture. So that one morning they'd be reading from the Bible, one morning they'd be listening in childish tales, about the Quran, and other about something else. So I think that was quite interesting. That's probably why she spent so much time focused on early learning, because in that first years between 1 and 5, you do pick up so much. And hers was, as you say, very culturally diverse and in a different country. And so therefore, I mean, to put it bluntly, all this talk of racism that came up later from...
There are deeper tensions that have been brewing for years, and hey, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Harry and Kate have been part of the royal spotlight for years, but not everything has been smooth sailing. So what's behind the tension?
Meghan Markle was utter baloney. This is a girl that's very diverse, comes from a very diverse education and diverse experience. So there's no way that would even enter her head, So that was all. I think as a kid to grow up in the way she did, it was fantastic.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that too. And you make that point in the book, how kind of ridiculous all of those accusations are. And I'm grateful for you. Of course, you're talking about some of these serializations and the headlines they're making. One of the big ones is the idea that Prince William has been asked to sign a waiver when it comes to flying in the helicopter with his family. You say not only did the Queen have an issue with this, but also King Charles. I do think that it's been kind of sensationalized. You say yourself within the book, after being diagnosed with cancer, King Charles, perhaps reminded of his own mortality, echoed his late mother's concerns. So basically, you're just saying King Charles is thinking about the future. He is focused on the future, and this is not necessarily a fist fight going on behind the scenes. He just wants Prince William to know the reality of maybe some safety concerns.
Well, I think by making him sign a waiver, what you're doing is focusing his mind by saying that you shouldn't really do it. And we'll wait and see if he continues to do it. I mean, I know the Queen raised the issue with him and was quite disappointed when he flew his whole entire family up to Norfolk on one occasion, because she said you have to think about the succession. Well, think about the succession. If something terrible did happen, and helicopter crashes have happened. I mean, we've seen so many very high-profile people that situations like that have happened, and the chances of survival for something like that are pretty slim, as we've seen with in the past. Um, so the succession will be an issue, wouldn't it? It'll be Harry, that will be King Harry and Queen Meghan. So that's the reality of it. That is what would be in terms of the line of succession if everyone was to perish. So I don't think they're being over the top. They're just saying that the heir to the throne and the spare to the heir, the next one in line, shouldn't really travel, and that's him and Prince George. But of course, that makes it difficult when he wants to take him to, say, I don't know, going to watch the football, on an aeroplane together. I think that's not really the issue of the aeroplanes; it's the helicopter. And I think that the king was just conscious that if William is going to do it, then he has to then take full responsibility. So he feels that he has raised that issue in an appropriate way. I think it wasn't a direct confrontation with his father. I think it was one of the aides.
With constant comparisons to Princess Diana, things have gotten tense. After stepping back from his royal duties, Harry's role within the royal family has been drastically reduced. Harry's decision to leave the royal family and settle in the United States created a rift.
Who approached with this waiver, and I think that sort of upset him a little bit. But yeah, it's bang on, yeah.
Yeah, and it's protocol. I feel like they've always tried to separate the heir, and then like little Prince George, that just seems like something that has happened forever.
Makes common sense,
Yeah. So
I think the king's being correct in what he's saying, as
I
was the late Queen. Yeah.
the one passage that I have been sharing like crazy, I sent it to my parents at 6 o'clock in the morning yesterday. I'm sure that they really appreciated waking up to that. And I'm like, just like my face hurts from smiling about it. You have details about William and Catherine's wedding night. You write, as they stood grinning and holding hands in the middle of the room, the opening bars of the song, You're the One That I Want, suddenly boomed out. To their friends' delight, William and Catherine launched into the dance of the lead characters from the film Grease, mouthing the words and pointing at each other. And then you're just so sweet. You say, Prince William finally found the one that he wanted.
Mm.
I love that part. It painted such a fun image, visually stimulating image of these two, wild, carefree, loving a movie we all love, loving a song we all love. Um, do you have any other details from that night? And
Well, I mean, I think that really sums up how much fun they were having. I mean, they
yeah,
were very young. They'd been together nearly pretty much a decade actually when they got married. But the point of it is they were able to be relaxed. And I think that in private they are just quite carefree people and let their hair down. And that night was a great night for that. And the lot that was surrounded by all their family and friends. And you can only wish William and Catherine the world of love and happiness, because I think that in the last, that moment, it reminds us of a time which was a little bit more carefree. They were further down the pecking order. The Queen was still around. It was a very different time. And what we've seen since in the last 3 or 4 years, a lot of weight and responsibility has been, on William. He was totally crestfallen when he found his dad had got cancer. Then he finds his wife is treated as well. He's had to face a lot of responsibilities. So it's nice to remember, I think, the carefree times that they had, and they did. They had a lot of special carefree times, and they were able to enjoy that period. Let's just hope, they're still able, as with the young family to raise, they still have time to spend with them as well, in terms of not being weighed down too much by responsibility until that moment comes when they're king and queen.
absolutely. Yeah, you're right. That has been interrupted. They had a rhythm. We saw they were very protective of their family time. And that was, kind of interrupted over the last year because of illnesses. You blew my mind with the revelation that Catherine almost rejected the Princess of Wales title, Diana's title. You talk about
Kate, as the Princess of Wales, had to step up and play a more prominent role. Harry has become known for his outspoken behaviour, frequently sharing personal struggles. With time, many have wondered if there's any hope for a reconciliation between Harry and Kate.
the pressure you're under when you marry one of Diana's sons and how you're constantly compared to Princess Diana, whether it's your wardrobe, whether it's the charities you pursue, the way you engage with children. And you say the Princess of Wales, Catherine, did not want to add another element to her day-to-day life that would force that comparison. Why do you think ultimately she did choose to take the
I think that when she was not really wanting it was when it was 2016, 2017. I think at that time, the weight of Diana, the ghost of Diana, if you like, it would weigh heavily on the mind of Camilla. There's no way, even though she should have been the Princess of Wales, she was going to take that title. And the same with Catherine. I think she thought it's too much. I mean, she's too big a character. But I'd spill out right at the end of the book that there's only been about 10 or 11 Princesses of Wales, and that's if you include the Duchess of Cornwall, Camilla, in the whole of British history. So, which seems strange considering it's the wife of the heir to the throne. I think that when it came to it, and the transition had gone through with the king, and that actually went very, very smoothly compared to what I think a lot of people thought. I think then it was the speed of everything that happened. There was not much time to think about it. The king then made his son the Prince of Wales immediately. There was no delay. Remember when he was 10, 11 when he was made Prince of Wales, the king. So he wasn't always the Prince of Wales at birth. He was created that by the Queen. And so I think that what happened was that once that happened so quickly, then it was a fait accompli for Catherine. You will be the Princess of Wales. And I'm sure she would have probably been a bit nervous because the last person, frankly, was the most famous and most photographed woman in the world. And her life, ended tragically, and she's always a figure in people's hearts and memories. So it would have been quite a tough idea. But I think she thought, I have to do this to support my husband. It's the right thing. He is now the Prince of Wales.
Could they put their differences aside for the sake of the family? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more royal updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.